Right, good afternoon, boys and girls. So my name is Dale Berry, and today I'm going to be talking a bit about child-led learning. So this is the first time I've done one of these presentations outside of my little laboratory in Colwoy, where whatever the opposite of a echo chamber is, where I'm fighting for the kids to be taking the lead in learning. Anyway, so first of all, talk a little bit about me. It's okay, those are mine, so I'm allowed to do that. So I came to Japan in 2007. Before that, I was actually working in a completely different industry. I was managing a big security company, and at the beginning I was chasing around heroin addicts in shopping centres, and it's quite a jump. And then moving up to middle management in there and running the Southeast and with investigations, people protection and stuff like that. And I decided to take a year out and came to Japan. It was quite stressful. I thought, I need to do something more my age. So I came to Japan. Now, in the background, even though I studied business management and IT, because that's what I should do, when I was about 14, I was given a book called The Anatomy of Intelligence. And what I really was interested in is why we are who we are. And so that led me in my own time with like short courses and reading things myself on why are some people more intelligent, why are some people more confident, what are the circumstances that make us. And that was something that really drove me in my free time, but I didn't think you could make any money from it. So it was just in the back of my head. Anyway, I came to Japan and just did a bit of English teaching. I only planned to be here for a year. And I covered someone at a kindergarten. And I thought, okay, I'll do it. It's money. And I went into a room and there were 12 1.5-year-olds. And I was like, okay. So up until this point, my relationship with children had been this. I had no idea. Children were not in my life. So I went in and I thought, I know, I've done kindergarten lessons. So I've got these 12 kids. So what I'll do is I'll teach them colours and fruits. And it'll be great. And so I got my little basket with my colours and my fruits, and I went into the classroom, and it was just a cacophony. And then I ended up joining them in the corner moments later. But one thing I learned, once things calmed down, and I was covering this path for about 2 weeks, I realised that all those things that I was interested in inherently, interested in why we are who we are, why some people are this and some people are this way. I could see all that in the classroom. I could see these little people working on the things that they want to do. And you can kind of see this personality sprouting in different areas of the classroom. And so I decided, okay, I'm in the wrong game. I need to do this full time. And it was either go back to England and be a teacher or stay here and do it. And at the time, the wages were better here. That ended up being questionable, but anyway, so that's me. Those are my motivations. But what I want to talk about, so after working at some large international schools and some tiny international schools, I found that most schools had a very teacher-led, teacher-centric approach. They had a curriculum, they had something they wanted to inject into children who can do it the most efficiently or the most fun. And every school I worked at, I realized that I was becoming more and more child-centered and child-led. And in the end, not being able to find a place for me to work out myself, I started a school. And so this is Berry. We bought an old sushi restaurant and then changed it into a school, and that's it right now. And we primarily are a child-led preschool. We use the early years foundation stage, which is the curriculum for England and Wales, but not Scotland. And the reason why we choose this is because the first words in it are a unique child. It's all centered around every child is unique, every child's journey is different. And so I thought, rather than coming up with a curriculum myself, use something that's been used by tens of thousands of teachers with millions of children. And English teachers, if they find a problem with this, they're not quiet about it. Parents, if they find a problem with this, they're not quiet about it. So it does change quite a lot. And so rather than coming up with something myself, I decided to follow this. And we also use something called Planning in the Moment, which is amazing and fantastic. I think everyone should use it. Someone called Anna Esbray is doing it in the UK, and it is planning in the moment. So rather than deciding what you should do throughout the day, you see what the children do. You observe, you assess, and you plan from there. I'll get into that later. So, child-led learning. I want to ask and see if there are any ideas, like who can summarize child-led learning? What is child-led? Can anyone give an answer to that question? Child-led. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Thanks. I think child-led learning is based on the kids' inspiration and curiosity and interest, and picking up on that and finding ways to prepare the environment so that they can be their own money, they can explore it in their own terms. That's my interpretation.
Couldn't have done it by myself, and that's why I delegated. Fantastic. That was brilliant. Okay. Yeah. Does everyone agree with that? Is that about right? Anything to add to it? So you've maybe heard child-led, child-initiated, student-centered. Is there any difference there? If I said student-centered versus child-led, can anyone think of a difference between those two? You can shout it out if you want, or no. Is it the same? Who thinks it's the same? Who thinks it's different? Also, you have some ideas then. So, am I going to have to pick on someone? Who doesn't mind? Okay, great.
To me, it would depend on who's taking the lead, right?
So, student-centered versus child-led.
Yes. Child-led would be child taking the lead. Hey, let's do this. And the teacher saying, well, all right, we can do that. Versus child-centered, the teacher says, oh, this is what kids would like to do, so I'll plan this kind of lesson.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so my understanding, and unfortunately people use those terms quite differently and interchangeably sometimes, but my idea is student-centered is taking something rigid, a curriculum, and then thinking, how can I translate this more to think of the child, and kind of shifting it a bit more child-led. Whereas child-led starts with the curiosity of the child. And so starts with, okay, I need something from the child to be able to do it. Yeah. Why is it, first of all, is child-led good? Is it a good thing? Hands up if you think it's a good thing. Oh, not as many hands as I thought. People usually knee-jerk reaction, yes, it's good. Can anyone, this should be a bit easier. Why do you think it's good? Why is being child-led good, do you think?
Natural.
Natural? Why would you say natural?
Because based on your own needs.
Yeah, so more natural to them. Yeah, anything else?
I was going to say needs, but I didn't do it.
Passions, yeah, passions. That's a key word there. Anything else? Yo. God, I'm going to get some exercise here, aren't I?
They're self-motivated.
Self-motivated, yeah, that's a huge one. Anything else?
It develops their leadership skills faster.
The leadership skills, yeah. Why do you think that would be?
So it's not really kids want to be leaders. They want to lead people and they can feel that you see skills.
Yeah, fantastic. So, yeah, anything else? Anyone else? No? Oh, Adam, yeah. Yeah, go for it.
Engagement.
More engagement, yeah, that's a word I was kind of looking for there. Number one for me, now there are actually 1,000 reasons, all those are valid, all the reasons why you want to put the child in charge. They're going to be self-motivated, they're going to find their passions, use those passions in order to see what learning can do for them, because they're initiating it, they're taking responsibility, which can lead to leadership. They have enough experience of trying to do something and being successful, or at least it being fun, means they're going to try more things. And other children will see that. And yeah, but engagement is probably the primary thing that I think of. Now, Chi, earlier in her presentation, thankfully did a great primer on it and what flow states are. Do you remember what Chi said about flow states? So flow state, in my world, we talk about involvement, and we have a name for it, level 5 involvement. So there's a scale, but if you were to take down fundamentally what I'm trying to do in my school is to make that happen. And unfortunately, in a lot right now, you lot, this is happening. And I'm trying my best to jump around and be kind of enthusiastic and energetic, but I will never get here from you sitting there and passively listening to me talking. And so more with why child-led is good, teacher-led and micromanaged children and people listening to lectures, unfortunately, you're kind of stuck with that and you're never going to let this happen. Now, it's called level 5 involvement, and there is a scale that I can show you, but I want another question answered out there. How do you think you can make this happen? And she has given you some wonderful examples of what can happen, but in a classroom setting. So how do you think you can make this happen? Does anyone have any ideas? It's your job tomorrow, you're starting, you got to make the kids do this. What are you going to do? Brian?
Create a classroom that has a lot of things in it that's going to appeal to them, and I can find.
Right, I think you're cheating because you know what my class looks like. But yeah, have a lot of things in the classroom. The environment, an enabling environment is a huge thing that it's the thing we probably work on the most, especially in my position as a head of school. As a teacher, what do you think you can make, how you can make this happen? Do you want a mic? Hold on. Could you shout?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, another thing we do is modeling, and if you have enthusiasm about anything, you can make it more. And I think so many teachers do it. I call them charisma teachers, but you can take the most boring thing in the world, and that teacher, the reason why they're going to be a great teacher is they're going to make this thing the most amazing thing you've ever seen. This, you really want to do it. It's so fun. I love it. And that is going to be, what's the word? Infectious. Yes, it's going to be contagious. And the children are going to see that model of a person enjoying something, and they're likely to do it too. Any other ideas on how you could get level 5 involvement?
Something inquiry.
Inquiry, yeah. What would that look like?
So, problem types, or set up problem to solve.
Okay.
Then we can figure out how we might go.
Yeah, so having a goal. So having a goal to work towards. So you have a problem, a goal you want to work towards, and how they get to that point is up to them. Depending on how relevant the goal is to them, then they could get into this. Like for a 2-year-old, putting the marbles from this table into this jar would be a target for them to get that they would definitely get in this mode with. They just zombie out and they just go and their brain will light up. It gets more and more tricky as they get older. But yeah, having a goal to work towards. There was something in Craig's presentation as well that is huge in what we do anyway. Can anyone think what that might be?
Limiting restrictions. Limit simple restrictions like the restriction of the fact that the world don't have.
Yeah, barriers. Barriers get in the way of this all the time. So if they have to ask a teacher, oh, I want to paint something, and they have to go, sir, can I have the paints off the top there? Oh, okay. But even if he said yes, that's still a barrier to do it. So what you want to have is an environment where they go, I want to paint. Yeah, and so there is a few barriers. So when that little seed goes of an idea of something they want to make, create, do, achieve something, there's the smoothest possible path of least resistance to doing it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And one more, yeah?
My would be very different. It could be the listening to the actually reality. It's the like
Yeah, the sensory, physical, moving around. There's one I really want to pop up. Can anyone say it? Yeah?
I think it's important to kind of acknowledge that there are different types of learners, so able to provide a platform for each type of learning kind of have to help the kids try or learn something. Attending to or observing that there are different types of learners and kind of doing that.
Yeah, fantastic. The differentiation, actually a variety of learners improves a classroom like this. If you've got everyone the same age, the same level, this is actually quite a lot harder. So what you should have a variety of different learners at different ages, because they will act like models and you get peer learning. But as an educator, as a facilitator, yeah, respecting different people's learning styles. Learning styles, a bit of a bad word at the moment, but we all learn in different ways. Come on, there's one. It's huge.
Challenge and problem solving.
Challenge and problem solving, they will come up, they will arise, but there's something simpler you can do.
TPR.
TPR, yeah, but that's very led by the teacher. You do it.
No schedule.
No schedule, yeah. Long periods of uninterrupted play or work. You need 2 hours of uninterrupted time to be able to achieve this realistically. That's why in short form it's so difficult, but still achievable. Yeah, anyone? Choosing their own adventure, that is what they will do. You can go outside, is what I was looking for. Yeah, you can go outside. Now, in a classroom, only having a classroom, this kind of man-made box that they're in, you have to put so much work into that second teacher, that other teacher. You have to make sure that all of your items are open-ended, that they're interesting, that they draw people in, they're set up in the right way for the children that you've got there, and they're not dangerous or flammable and all these things. But if you go outside, talking about the different way people learn, some children will only become engaged outside. There have been studies done on it, and some children, it doesn't matter how good your classroom is. The stresses of being inside a classroom, it just won't trigger it. But you take children that are maybe overwhelmed sensorily, or people who's they're like this. Does this make sense? They get excited, they get nervous, they get this. You put them in a forest, and it just and it levels out. And the simplest things will catch their attention and hopefully get some of this going on. And there's an interesting thing while I have brains on the screen. There's an interesting thing, do you know about synaptic pruning? Has anyone ever heard of that? Yeah, you've heard of that? So we think of things like using a muscle. So you use your brain, you practice something, your brain gets good at it. So like a kind of bodybuilder does this and their muscles get larger. Well, with brains, there's something that's quite interesting. A 2-year-old has 50% more synapses than they'll ever have in their life. So that a 2-year-old is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they have all these muscles, and the synapses are where the learning occurs. And so they have all of these in their brain. And then over the next 6 years, their brain decides, okay, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. And so if you have a 2 to 8-year-old that's constantly listening to instructions, being told what they're going to do, then you might not exercise those pathways that lead to being a lifelong lover of learning. So giving it a go, giving it a try, getting intrinsic value from learning. And that just popped into my head while I was looking at brains. But so it's about not getting in the way. They have the brain geared for it. They're ready for it. They want to learn. They want to get better. And if you put too much teacher-led scheduling onto them, then you're likely to get in the way of what they naturally want to do. Okay. The scale here is available. You can find it. But basically what you want is this level 5 intensity. This kind of followed on from studying attachment. And they actually did a lot of work on trying to measure engagement, and also even plugging fMRI, doing scans of the brain to see what happens to a brain when people are engaged. So when you, as a teacher, decide what you're going to do in a class, I have a theory that if you're teacher-led, then what you'll end up doing is you're putting caps on the possibilities of what children can do. And that if you have in your syllabus that I want them to be able to intimately know numbers between 1 and 20, And if that's in your head and you've got a goal and you're setting that and you're going to set your schedule up for that, there might be a child there that's obsessed with numbers and gets to 100. But you saying that, oh, a good kid's going to get to 20, and if they read that and if they get that idea, then they're going to get to 20 and go, okay, never mind, I've got to 20, I've done enough, I'm good at this now, I'm good at maths. Whereas some children will go to the absolute moon and bring some other children with them if you just give them the freedom to find their own cap. But I'm running out of time already. Oh my gosh. Sorry, can you tell this is the first time I've done one of these? Can anyone think of difficulties in being child-led? What's wrong with being child-led? Can anyone think of any road bumps? Yes.
They might not know what you want them to do.
Ah, yes. They might not do what you want them to do. They might just play with the trains. That's where you, as a practitioner, as a professional, try to find ways of pollinating everything that's in your classroom with these things you need to get done. Yes, Brian.
You may not be preparing them for the public school, or if they're going to public, they're going to go to the school system that they're not prepared for when they get into elementary school, the system that they're not comfortable with.
Are you a parent? You are. Yes, yes. That's the biggest parent stress that I get when I speak to parents. That's the big thing. They must be prepared. But with the not learning what you want them to learn, you as a practitioner have an idea of what you want them to get to. Usually standards are actually pretty low in my world, which is holistic, the whole child. So what they need to definitely be able to do by the time they reach elementary school is generally very achievable. And so what you do is you pollinate the things in the classroom and make sure they have access to those things.
I'm more talking about like this schedule. They're not prepared for the very rigid schedule and type of life that they're going to have. So they've been in the very coping system, and now they're going to be very regimented.
Yeah, sorry, I returned to the previous question because I didn't finish it in my head. So your question, it's a myth that children need to be prepared for elementary school. If you, so if we're talking about young learners, so from age 2 to 5, if you have them, if they have confidence and they have a sense of inquiry and they follow their curiosities and they look around, so you have rules in a child-led environment. There are rules and that they're strict, they're firm and consistent. So they have a world of rules. They can't pick up a hammer and just go out and start smashing things. They have rules in their environment and they are expected to understand and follow those rules themselves. So they actually have more responsibility. In a teacher-led school, like I'm thinking like a Japanese kindergarten, you can get through the entire time by just looking at the person next to you and just doing what they do. And then, so if I just be quiet and I do what they do, then I won't get in trouble and I'll be absolutely fine because there's usually 14 other children doing exactly the same thing that you're doing. Whereas when you're doing your own stuff, you have to think, is this dangerous? Should I be doing this? And you have to exercise those thoughts. And we never have a problem with children in our school going to elementary school. We have some that go to big private international schools, private Japanese schools, most of them to public elementary schools. And we've always had that question coming up towards the graduation. But in reality, you should be thinking about what they need now, not what they need in elementary school. And little secret, elementary school in Japan is really easy. The first year, the first grades, they spell everything out for you because my Japanese parents were both elementary school teachers. And basically every year you'd have a child that never went to Poiko and never went to Yoche. So it has no experience of formal education. So when the first grade teacher is laying out their plan, they have to assume that nobody can do anything. And they start from there. And they're very rigid and a very systematic approach and they will be fine. But yeah, in the 10 years that we've been operating heavily child-led in our school, we've had a lot of concerns coming up to graduation and then they all just disappear as soon as the children go to elementary school. Can anyone think of any other difficulties with being more child-led? Yes.
train. And then I could done it. But
Mm. Yeah, it's probably my biggest stress is, and it's less about training and having the tools for it, and it's more about perspective. So the easiest way to think about it is everyone's child-led with their own kids. It's the most natural thing in the world. You don't have a schedule for your own children. What you do is you wait for things to arise and you address them. So you observe what the child wants, you assess whether it's possible, and then you plan your response. And if you take them to Disneyland, some of you might, but you're not likely to have an itinerary that you need to strictly follow and goals that you need to achieve. Yes. You're going to be wanting them to have a good time and get the most out of it. And as a child-led practitioner, that's basically the mindset that you're in. But over years and experience, you have little things in your toolbox that you can do. You'll know when to nudge and when to leave alone, when to certain shortcuts that you can take, how to achieve the things that are in the curriculum, for example. So we follow EYFS, which has 7 different areas with subsections, and it is a dense document that we follow. But the teacher knows that, and over time you get to know how to achieve those goals that you have. But I think it's mostly more perspective. I think anyone in this room can perform really well in a child-led environment if you put your mummy or daddy hat on. And which means another problem that no one said at the moment yet is that you can't have 40 children. If you're in a child-led environment, you've got 40 children like this, and it's like, right, yeah, guys, go and see what what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to be putting out fires here, changing diapers. It is going to be absolutely insane. Classroom management, yeah. So you kind of set up a culture. You see the culture in the classroom, and the maximum that I've seen that is doable is about 6 to 1. So if you have 6 children that you're looking after, now this can be in a big mixed setting, so you can have 24 children in the setting, but you have a key person for every 6 children that are in there, then it is completely manageable because you get to really know those kids. Because the most important thing is getting to know your children. You need to know what their learning style is. Do they work well inside or outside? You need to know all those things and be really knowledgeable of your children in order to make this work well. But when it does, there's no caps on it. These children can really achieve amazing things. Anything else for a difficulty? Any questions? Yep.
Some individuals have wrong curiosities, so it's for a teacher. What to do with it. Telling the student to sort of dictate what it's told in class. Way too interesting. I think someone's curiosity interested in kids. For the teacher, it's
Yeah. TeacherLED is easier. It's definitely easier because you're dictating what is your classroom management. You can be quite strict. You can control everything and micromanage it. Well, child-led is harder. It's more challenging, but it's also more rewarding. And those are some of the things that will be a challenge. Like there are different interests, and trying to get the most out of those interests and make sure everyone's challenged is quite a challenge.
More of a question, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's student-led, the students picking up something that they want to, as teachers usually are the best method to learn. But if you're more hands-off, they might be solidifying what's wrong, not necessarily wrong with learning, but it's more difficult than that.
Yeah, and it's important to be able to, so a child might do something if you're a hands-off way. Now, TeacherLED is actually very hands-on, but it's knowing where to put your attention and your time. So if you have 6 children off doing different things, you'll see that this child's engaged, this child's working on something at the moment, this child needs some help, and so you do these kind of one-to-one interventions. So you're looking for interventions. So in that example, a child's using something in the wrong way, you let them struggle a bit, hopefully what you'll find is they'll find the reason why that's the wrong way to use that thing, and then you give a nudge. You can do things like model next to them. So if they're playing with, trying to think of an example, what did you have in your mind when you came up with that question?
More like math problem.
Oh, math problems. Well, math problems, a lot of that is investigation anyway. When you're trying to understand how math works, a lot of that is trial and error and trying to figure it out. If I think of something a bit more physical, like that thing clips onto the top there, you can tell them, oh, that's not how you use it, this is how you use it. Or you can let them struggle with it for a bit and maybe find the same thing, sit next to them and do it in the correct way. And if they're struggling with this thing, then they'll hopefully notice what you're doing and they'll be like, oh, and they'll model it, especially if you breed a culture where you're a person to watch when you do it. When I walk into the classroom at school, all the kids look at me because they're going to look, what am I doing? I'm usually going to start something a bit interesting, but I could be just grabbing a book and sitting in the corner. But then the kids will come up, Dave, what are you doing? And they're interested in what I'm doing because they've over years figured out that this guy walks in, something interesting is going to happen. And so it's kind of that relationship of, and also boredom. Oh, how do I work that one in? But boredom is a hugely powerful tool. You want them to get bored because then they're going to try something new that they haven't tried before. So that's why 2 hours of uninterrupted play is a big thing, what we do. I realize I'm going to run out of time hard. Sorry, I keep waffling. What does a Childled classroom look like? You already said loads of things, so it's okay, I can skip past that. I realize that this is the first time I've done it without my classroom there for everyone to see. So I'm having to use a lot of words. So I've put a couple of videos in here to see what our school looks like. And then afterwards, you can maybe ask some questions or we can talk about it. But first of all, this is something I made a couple of years ago.
Hi,
Enjoy.
this is my school. I want to go to the playtime. Time to build to find what is right. Time to impossible ways. Experiments. Research. Work. Design. Try. And then clean up. Sometimes. Is it just paper? It's not fun. Thank you for listening.
Oh, but
Thank you.
that video I made it a few years ago with my son, trying to get an idea, a feel for what our school is like. So a lot of people see different things there. Is there anything that stuck out? So you saw the children using a bunch of different things. Is there anything that stuck? What did you see? Can anyone shout out some things? Yeah.
Oh, establishing trust for seeing kids integrating, interacting with each other, getting trust with each other, making that.
Yeah, attachment is a huge part of it. So they need to attach to their key person, their key adult. And so that's another part of getting to know the child. But also a culture of investigation and everything. And those adults, the relationship with the children is kind of at the forefront of the whole thing. So they need to feel safe, and they need to feel like they can try things. They need to feel enabled and supported. But that can happen in a surprisingly short time if you create this kind of environment, this enabling environment, and the teachers are kind of, that's their goal, is to get to know the children. But it is a huge part of it. Is there anything that was surprising that you saw the children interacting with there at all? No? Yeah. Yes, there's a lot. We try to have like hundreds of possibilities, and it's all accessible to the children at all times. Again, it's like removing the barriers of entry. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Relaxed. Yeah. They're relaxed, engaged, and so a classroom should actually be pretty quiet with everyone engaged in what they're doing. And there's so many things I want to do, but I've only got 2.5 minutes left. But if you look at some of the areas in our school, this is our small world loose parts. And so you've got like sand and different house and small objects to just manipulate and play with in small groups. Music area, which is the newest area. A bit noisy, but fun. They know how to turn on the drum kit and use that, and the piano. It's great. Then there's like a house with all pictures of the children playing, and they help make it as well. These are all the kids, and there's like a little living room area for them to play in. But it's like they have ownership of the area. And then our library. So it should be a workshop. When you're setting up the enabling environment, they should have access to all things all the time, and you lay it out like a workshop. And I really need to, because what can you do to get, you don't have to go this crazy. The way we started was using learning centers. There's hands up if you've heard of learning centers. Yeah, learning centers is where we started. So when we first opened, I didn't have enough stuff. I was constantly thinking, I don't have enough stuff, I don't have enough toys. Every secondhand shop I went past, I'd go in there searching for things to put in our school. And so every day I used to put out about 4 tables with different themed learning centers. And so it would be maths over here, it would be science over here, it would be games over here, literacy over here. And when the children came in, I'd spend about 2 minutes just explaining each center. So this is a tank of water. You're going to see if it floats or sinks. What do you think? And this is a game. What you do, you use the piece, blah, 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 blah. And I'd explain those. Maybe literacy would be some themed books and some mark-making exercises, like maybe some sand that they can draw with their fingers. And I'd explain it and then go, right, off you go. And then they'd go off, do their things, and I'd be looking for opportunities to teach. So you're just looking for an opportunity to get in there and add value to whatever they're doing. And that doesn't have to take 45 minutes. That can be a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and kind of be as efficient as you can with your time. So you can start with, I used to do it when, what are they called? Like Kolminkan, like the community center. And I used to go there with a baggage, with a box full of stuff, and I just set up my centers there. And we'd have some vocabulary that I want to go over, but then the centers would be the main event. So hopefully they'd use those words that I put in there first. And see, these are very low-level students. But you can start with centers. And my time's up. Oh, my gosh. I had like an example of them in school and everything. No. Oh, go on. Okay. But this is the kids using the space. Da-da-da-da-da.
There's something alive inside. What is it? Well, if it's alive, we need to make sure it's healthy. It's okay. It's a bug. We need to make sure you've got air. It's a picture. It's difficult to use it. Use it. Who showed you how to use it? You figured it out. Show me how to use it. That is super smart. You figure that out by yourself. See, what you can do is when you sleep there, you pull it out like that. Really? Oh, yeah, then it grabs it. Well, it pulls it in so it sharpens it as you go. Well, it's tiny. What happens to that? You gotta do that. We're gonna have no pencils left. I do, actually. I wanna know what's in there. What? It's a secret. Is it really alive? I'm a little bit worried about it. Is it okay now? Okay. Did you catch it alive? It's stinky. What did you put? Good. You want to tell me what it is? Are you going to tell me later? Okay, good. Am I going to get to see what's inside? Why not?
Smart. Can you guess what's inside? Pencil shavings. They'd said that they'd figured out that if you put pencil shavings in there and shake it, it kind of smokes. And they were just like, oh, yes. And so they sat there just sharpening pencils. And so they figured out their own problem, thing they wanted to achieve. And they had the freedom to work on this giant, pointless project. But in doing so, learned a bit about the world, and it's stinky, it smells. Having a bit of fun. No, I'm not going to show you. Oh, it's alive in there. Oh. And those types of things happen every day. Every day. And these children, like, they don't speak English at home. They're all Japanese families, so when they go home, they speak Japanese. So it's a bit of a challenge. But I'm overrun too much anyway, so sorry.
That's really good.